When is the stock market going to crash?
You definitely do not want my opinion about that.
It's the question nobody wants to ask out loud, but everyone's thinking it. Today, we're asking it directly to the man whose company exists to answer it. I'm sitting down with Kunal Kapoor, the CEO of Morningstar, a man who has spent decades at the intersection of data, markets, and financial decision-making at the highest level.
Go back to pretending like you got work.
He immigrated from India to the United States, landed his first job at Morningstar, and never left, ultimately becoming CEO of one of the most influential financial firms in the country. Was there an interview process?
Well, I think there was a 20-year interview process.
My name is William Salvi, and this is the CEO series, where we have real conversations with real CEOs. CEOs who run credible organizations, build strong cultures, and lead companies that matter. Let's go talk to Kunal.
Data. How about that?
All right, we are with the CEO of Morningstar, Kunal Kapoor. Kunal, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
I appreciate it. You are actually the only CEO that we've done like 70 interviews.
Okay.
You're the only one that's been at the same company for your entire career.
Okay, well, you got to find a few more owner-operator type of folks for sure.
Did you think that when you were joining Morningstar, did you have the mindset of like, I'm going to stay here for as long as I possibly can, or did it just happen organically?
I think it happened organically. I mean, it's hard to imagine anything in 10+ year increments, right? So much can happen in your life, but no, I kind of came at it with a very positive mentality, embraced the mission. And it's always felt very natural to kind of build a career here as the firm has been built as well. You know, I was an analyst for many years, and that's a great job to prepare you to do other things because by nature, you're thinking critically, you're really trying to think about why something works or doesn't, and it transfers very nicely into the business side of things.
When did it become clear that it was like, oh, I'm in the running to become CEO?
I never really thought of it that way. You know, Joe Mansueto founded the company. He was the CEO, and I would have been fine if Joe kept running the business. And so I didn't kind of wake up and think about that.
Pursuing it or?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I was growing and I was having a great time, and when it felt natural for Joe, that's when it felt okay for me too.
Was there an interview process?
Well, I think there was a 20-year interview process, so.
Hey, are you subscribed yet? We're Executive House, and we feature some of the best and most credible executives in the world. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel, comment on our videos, like them, share them, whatever. Subscribe to our channel. We got great videos on some of the best executives in the world. Thank you. Are you nervous? I am.
Why are you nervous?
I'm not. I say that line like every time. Can you tell me what Morningstar does and is?
We have 3 large segments. One is what I'll call the business that Morningstar grew up with, which is our managed products, data, and analytics capability. This is where we do our mutual fund research, ETF research. We have all the data around it. Our second largest segment is PitchBook, which is the leading provider of data and analytics and research in the VC and PE space. And then our third largest business is credit ratings. And today, Morningstar is the world's 4th largest credit rating agency. We have some other really beautiful, wonderful businesses. We are one of the 2 largest providers of managed accounts in 401ks here in the United States. And so that's a very mission-driven business. If you think about it, we're helping people retire. We have a business where we help advisors build portfolios for end investors. That's our wealth business. We are a scaling business in the indexes space. So we just bought a local company here in town called Crisp, which used to be part of the University of Chicago.
Yeah.
So that's a very big opportunity.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Why do you think the interest has emerged in private markets?
Yeah, for a few reasons. One, companies are just staying private longer. And so if you're an investor, you're missing a greater part of their life cycle than used to be the case. 2, private credit is growing. And people have different definitions of what private credit looks like.
Does that mean like trading on margin? Forgive me,
it's basically buying the credit of private companies.
Okay.
Right? If you're looking for capital, the avenues available to you have changed quite meaningfully. And so that has changed. And then if you look at how people can invest, that's changing as well. it was very hard to get access to private credit and private equity. And the vehicles are starting to come into play where advisors and even retail investors can slowly have that. Now, does that mean everybody should have it? Absolutely not. I'm not advocating for that. But I do think in the right type of portfolio, especially with a long-term mindset, it might be the right thing.
How does one decide when to ignore the short-term market reactions and when to treat them as like an actual warning sign?
Well, you should always ignore short-term noise. For investors, there's very little upside in trying to time the markets, and it's a fool's errand to try to do that.
I am interested, because a lot of people think like the market is being held up by 7 stocks, 7 companies. So you do not think we're in a recession though right now?
I don't think we're in a recession. I mean, the data doesn't say we're in a recession. It's clear that the market, as broadly defined, i.e. the stock market in the US, has very narrow leadership right now. And a few company stocks have certainly delivered outsized returns.
How active are you as a trader yourself?
I'm not. So my most active moments tend to be when markets are doing horribly.
Because you want to rock and roll. It's time to buy.
Yeah, it's opportunity, yeah.
I came here and when we toured this facility, these tables were filled.
Yeah, it was lunchtime, right?
It was nice, yeah. It was good to see.
Yeah, people are meeting now too. It's very open and casual.
Yeah.
Gabe is looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Sorry, go back to your meeting, Gabe.
Go
back to your meeting. I'm doing important stuff.
Yeah. Do you ever worry, say if you kept growing, you have 15,000 employees, 20,000 employees, do you ever think any of that juice would go away just because inherently it's hard to keep that when you're big?
For sure. I don't wake up and think about how many people we're going to be. I wake up and think about how we can be larger in the context of who we serve, what the size of the business looks like relative to who we have. But when people ask me what's the thing that keeps you up at night, I always say it's the next person we hire at Morningstar, because it's very much reflective of whether the next person is going to come in and uphold our culture and behave in the way that we want. And the independence and the trust people have in our brand is super important. And you see it in other places where one person can mess it up. And so I certainly am very focused on it from that perspective. I'm excited to have the opportunity to head Morningstar in 2017 and beyond. I've been at Morningstar almost 2 decades now, and probably the most important reason I came to Morningstar was not only to feed my interest in investing, but also because of the mission-driven nature of Morningstar's work. And so I'm very excited to be leading an organization that at its core is trying to do the right thing for investors.
How was it taking over from a founder?
It was great. Joe's unique in many ways. He's a good human being, but also he was just very thoughtful about how he affected the transition. And one of the gifts he gave me was that he essentially allowed me to step in, and he kind of took a back seat. And while he's my mentor and I go to him for any big decisions or things I need a second opinion on, he gave me the space in a way that sometimes I think you hear about transitions and they don't go well, because it's hard for people, obviously, to easily give those things up. And Joe did a really good job, and he weighs into the right spots, and he's chairman of the board, and so we have a great relationship. But that really helped a lot, just the way he thought about it.
At what point will you say to yourself, wow, this is a beast that I am now leading, and there are certain things, it's like culture or the early level employees, there's certain things that I can't control?
You can, in the sense that you're always leading by example. And part of being a great leader is when you set a tone at a certain level, the expectation is that you make it flow through the rest of the organization. And so I'm not the only person responsible for interviewing. But when people see me interviewing and see my style, I hope they're learning from it too, and they're taking it into their interviews. And so there's definitely that capacity, and one of the most important things about leadership is the example you're setting and what that means for how people follow you and whether they follow you in a way that they believe is the right way to do things. And so it's really, really important.
What's important to you?
There's many things that are important, but I'll start by saying financial results are really important. I want to just say that because it enables everything else. you have to succeed financially to do all the things you want to do for all your stakeholders, right? And so all the soft stuff matters, but financial results really do matter. And we are very disciplined about making sure that we do that because it creates growth and opportunity for everybody, right? And so maybe not the answer you're expecting, but that's what I would say.
It's a reality.
I also just think it's also really important that we have a mission that people are motivated by, because I think we get discretionary effort because people want to make a difference. And I think discretionary effort is awesome because it means that it's more than just a job for people. They're coming in because they want to make a difference. And guess what? That translates into better financial results in my view as well, because people are stretching in that capacity. So I want it to be a place where not only do we do well for all our stakeholders, but that our stakeholders also feel like we're doing it in the right way. And I think that's always been important and part of Morningstar.
What was the hardest lesson that you've experienced as CEO?
You know, Morningstar has grown over time, and one of the things you find is that people generally like the concept of change unless it's happening to them. And I would say some of the hardest lessons are in leading through change, because it may seem obvious to you and you may have all the right intent and all the right tools, but how you bring people along on some of those journeys can be quite challenging and difficult. And I think some of my early lessons were that I sort of just always took for granted that if I was leaning into something and setting the goals in a certain way, especially when there's meaningful change, that the org would kind of come along. And it's amazing what a strong force inertia can be. And also how much uncertainty can get in the way of people wanting to do certain things. Many of my early lessons on to today is really around how intentional I need to act myself to get people moving on this journey of change. Just because you say it's going to be so doesn't mean it's going to be so. You have to enable it, you have to get after it. And so I think you can half-bake things very easily, and you have to avoid that very much.
All right, most Googled questions. So we did pull this off of Google, and it's not just about Morningstar. It could be about, you know, the market or stocks. And I just want to preface this with, he is not providing investment advice. Don't you have to say that?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you do now. So how credible is Morningstar?
Very credible. No other organization with as independent a streak when it comes to the markets as we are.
Who is the best stock picker of all time?
Warren Buffett.
Can AI alone have a winning investment portfolio right now?
I think it would probably do a reasonable job.
Reasonable, like?
I mean, I think if you ask for a low-cost portfolio and set it for the long term, it's hard to go wrong.
Yeah. Where does Morningstar get their data from?
I'd have to kill you if I told you.
Can you actually not tell us?
Well, of course we get it from public filings.
Okay. Well.
And publicly available sources. But we do have, in certain parts of our business, you know, unique sources that we get it from. Let's leave it at that.
What's an industry outside of AI that is poised to boom?
Financial services, broadly speaking, is an industry with evergreen demand. And maybe what exists in it will keep changing, but it seems to me that it's well positioned. I will say, being in Chicago, quantum is something to keep an eye on. Quantum computing. Chicago's obviously got a big role in it, and or big bet as it pertains to quantum computing. And it seems to me that that's something we'll be talking a lot more about in the next decade.
When is the stock market going to crash?
You definitely do not want my opinion about that.
When, if we don't want your opinion about it, but it's just we're grabbing drinks at a bar and you're just like, hey, I have a light prediction here. I think it's going to be.
I have no idea.
I think it's going to be in a couple months.
Okay, then.
That's my prediction. We can reference this when it happens. What about private markets? So naturally they are private.
Actually, it's super interesting because one of the complaints people have about public market investing is that investors can be short-term focused, and that's why PE works, because they have a longer-term horizon.
Yeah, they don't need to worry about the quarters, yeah.
And I think like there's something to be said for that. Like sometimes the fact that you have so much liquidity almost makes it feel like people want to trade more than they should be. So liquidity is a good thing, but it can be misused.
So how does Morningstar and PitchBook provide like data analytics insights for private markets when they are inherently more private? They're not giving the same amount of
we're collecting
information.
all kinds of data, and we have multiple sources, obviously, through which we do that. And obviously, one of the things is when you're building a database and the size of the database keeps increasing, it has this really wonderful effect where then the users of the database start to contribute to it because they want to increase the quality of the database and what's in the database. And so it creates this really wonderful ecosystem. And so we're able to grow it through our own efforts, as well as the fact that users really help us do that over time. But then we have analysts who take the data and provide insights on top of it.
How is Morningstar utilizing AI?
Look, AI is going to make it so that the data we collect can be broadened. We can do more of it. We can do it faster. But we have to have our edge. And so we have certain things where we believe we have a moat. And that includes collecting certain types of data. It's not easy to collect it. And then providing insights on that data. And creating workflows around that data, which is incredibly important as well. And so AI is the disruption is real. And the opportunity is real as well. And so we're trying to reimagine every part of our organization in this context. Every product, everything we do internally, how we collect data, how we do research. It's a real enabler to rethinking both what we do for a product experience externally, as well as for the internal experience we create for folks. So I would say it's like the number one thing right now within Morningstar in terms of how we think about the future and how we leverage technology to do things we want to do.
Do you worry that artificial intelligence will replace people at Morningstar? Just like
I don't know the answer to that. Time will tell. I mean, there's no doubt that technology through time leads to greater automation. But technology through time also creates more productivity and new jobs. I'm not in the camp where it's doom and gloom. I'm kind of an optimist about it. I do think it means people will do things differently than they used to, but that's not the first or the last time that that's going to happen.
All right, fire round. You ready for it?
Okay, sounds good.
This one's fun. What is your last meal on Earth?
A biryani.
Last day on Earth, what are you doing?
Eating a biryani.
That's it?
I'm probably spending it with my family. I'm probably also just looking at my investment portfolio.
Why?
Because
How'd I do? Top 3 movies of all time.
I love movies. I'm a huge fan of Shawshank Redemption. Dead Poets Society. You know, I'm a kid of the 80s. I like Teen Wolf. I also, actually, the original Superman.
If you had the ability to teleport anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Rio.
Rio, how come?
I just love that city.
I love it. Tell me the last time you were afraid in the context of being the CEO of Morningstar.
Well, I think in the last month and a half has been a period of broad fear about the future for lots of companies.
You have to restart your career. Where are you going?
I'm going to do podcast interviews. I'd probably like to teach in some capacity.
Tell me about your best friend.
Yeah, so I went to boarding school in India growing up, and I met my best friend in 11th grade. I think the most unique thing about her is, she's, you cannot see a person for a month, 2 months, not talk to a person for 6 months, and boom, in the moment. And there's a certain level of comfort and candor that comes, and that's what I would say is true in this case. Also, your good friends give you the unvarnished truth always.
How would you summarize your 30-ish year career journey at Morningstar?
I think it's unexpected in many ways. When I thought what I'd be doing, which was very much being on the research side and kind of continuing down that path, I didn't really think of becoming an operator. And so it's unexpected in that way. But I'd also just say it's truly a story of growth, both for me and the company, and a little bit of luck. I think the company got lucky with some bets they made. I got lucky in some choices. And so things kind of came together, I think, nicely. And as went Morningstar, so did I.
Chicago forever?
Yeah, I think so. I'm assuming no family involved, right? Because everyone's going to say, it's my wife.
If you say, yeah, my wife, give a reason why, and that's why you should subscribe. And that's why you
Yeah, I'm not gonna say my wife because it's too easy, I think.
When she watches this, she's gonna be like, what the and that's why you should say Well, nice meeting you, David.
David's got that look on his face like, can you guys leave so I can go back to my job?
Sorry. And that's why you should subscribe. Oh, who would have thought I'd be doing this at 34?